Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. I'm your host, Tom Howe, and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news content that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. On today's show, Janice, Rose and I get all loved up for Valentine's Day, or not, as the case may seem, as we were invited to the opening night of the new Broken Hearts exhibition at Bodmin Jail, which promised tales of the Victorian lovelorn, love lost and rarely loved up. We bring in Cornish Pasty Week 2025, which is shaping up to be bigger than ever, with the much anticipated return of Mr. and Mrs. Pasty. The iconic duo are making their way around Cornwall from February 24th until March the 2nd, delighting fans after several years away with a fresh new look. As well as that, we take a deep dive into the world of cold water swimming with Tom Mason, co-founder of Blue Balls Cornwall. He joins presenter Ross Lannon in the studio to discuss the success of their growing community, the benefits of cold water swimming, and the importance of men's mental health. We also celebrate a remarkable milestone with the Sensory Trust's Creative Spaces project. The Happy Wanderers Dementia Walking and Nature Group has now completed over 500 walks in its 10-year history. Claire Fox, Creative Spaces project manager, and participants Val and Pat joined us in the studio to share their experiences and the impact of this vital initiative. And if all that wasn't enough for you, our final stop this week takes us into the world of robotics with Will Jackson, founder and CEO of Engineered Arts. He speaks to us about the exciting opportunities his company is bringing to Cornwall, including the world's most advanced humanoid robot, Amica.
NEWSWAVE.
Time now to check in with Chaos Radio's Janice, Rose and myself as we attend the opening night of the new Broken Hearts exhibition at Bodmin Jail. Here's how we got on.
NEWSWAVE.
I have just entered Bodmin Jail. I can hear clinks going on. There is shouting. Oh my word, the spaces are dangerous. I can see barbed wire. What am I letting myself in for? Let's see what room we're in now. Oh, it's quite dark and it looks quite macabre. I don't know whether I should be scary.
Gather round. Deutsch, your guide, will be with you shortly.
I'm Jess Moulton, the General Manager of Bodmin Jail. The Victorians really started the craze for sending Valentine cards, and by the mid-Victorian period, 1.2 million Valentine cards were sent every year. But they also sent an anti-Valentine card known as vinegar Valentines, and these, I'm afraid, were a little ruder and told the recipient exactly why the other person wouldn't go out with them. They tended to be very cheeky and rather nasty, and we don't have many left, probably because they got burnt.
Show off. You claim you're good at anything, so come on, show some proof, and let me see how good you are at jumping off the roof. It's something great, you seem to think, to have a loafer at you wink. Such conquests are too cheap to be a proper ground for vanity, and lack of brains is all you show when you will flirt with things so low.
The old maid. She caught a poor cat and a bird, but she can't snare a man, so we've heard. It's the old maid's sad fate to lose out on a mate and take tea, but shh, not a word. But as well as all the vinegar Valentines, which I love, I'm going to have to think up some sort of limerick to send out to people. There's also the very kitsch ones in the sales as well, which are the traditional ones that we know about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That theming of the Victorians, and of course everything is thematic, so flowers and doves and roses and hearts that we still use today are absolutely from the Victorian period.
And in the sale that I went in, that I was drew to, because I'm one for sparkly lights, and lovely hearts were strewn strung across the walls. It was, you say it was a reminder for the fact that people were actually killed for being gay.
Yes, it's often the case that history is very difficult for a modern audience, and I think that is a difficult one. The crime of homosexuality runs all the way through until the 1960s, and the amount of individuals persecuted for the crime of love is, I think, horrifying, actually. And we had individuals held here for being homosexual, either for months or weeks, sometimes for years.
But I love the way that you turned it around and you commemorate their lives with the cell rather than just note and walk on.
We are custodians of the history of this amazing building, and the individual stories here, while they might be interesting and fascinating to us, these are real people. So they are part of that story, and we will always treat them with respect.
We're now intrepid adventurers wandering through the cave opening. Let's have a look and see what we've got on the other side. Ooh, is it a deep subterranean cavern? Let's see what's in store for us here. The other little stories that you have going on in the other various cells, it's just really eye-opening to what crime and punishment was like back in the day. It's just, I just find it quite amazing.
Crime and punishment today, evidently, leans heavily on the Victorian period. We're moving away from it. But the Victorian version of punishment is physical. They're going to hang you, they're going to beat you, they're going to whip you, they're going to publicly humiliate you, because this is how you get people to reform. And of course today we do a much harder thing, arguably. We sit down and talk to people.
And looking and reading some of the literature there, these, the executions seem to be really huge public events with 20,000 people coming out to watch such a macabre spectacle.
Yes, we are hanging in public in this country for nearly 2,000 years. It's only very recently, actually, that we haven't executed in public. 1868, we stopped public hangings. And you're meant to go. It's a deterrent. You're meant to take your children, get them to the front, say something horribly parental like, if you do what they did, that'll be you, don't do it. It's good parenting, win that. It's there to remind you that if you break the law, this is what the law will do. I guess today the equivalent is rubbernecking on motorways. If there's an accident, we all look. It's in us to do that, or perhaps watching reality TV shows on a Saturday evening. It's a showcase for the history and heritage of this county and of crime and punishment across the nation.
Looking in some of the cells and for some of the crimes that people were killed for, in 1723 people were killed for stealing rabbits from a rabbit warren or cutting down a tree. Oh my goodness.
It's a shocker, isn't it? What you're dealing with is the Georgian Bloody Code. How are you going to control the population without a police force? So you find as many reasons to hang them as you can in the vehement hope they won't do it.
It's just absolutely amazing in a very macabre sense. And then you turn to the other cell and there's a gentleman there that's working out an algorithm for drop depth of the hanging noose in order to kill people humanely. Someone actually made calculations to work that out.
They certainly did, and actually this was a reaction to the short drop, which was an uncalculated length of rope. If you're particularly short and light, that could see you hanging for over 20 minutes. The long drop is more humane in the fact that it breaks your neck instantly.
Yes, in a very perverse setting. But obviously we're here for the broken hearts aspect of it. What do you hope people will take away from going around this exhibition?
How we can use history to tell stories, whether that's stories of people who loved incorrectly, people who loved the wrong people who loved too hard, people who loved too meanly, but that Valentine's is actually for everyone, for all your faults and all your failings, and actually history is rather excellent.
Why do they call you a nasty old cat, and say many things a deal ruder than that? 'Tis from envy, perhaps, of your manifold graces. Now would it not please you to claw well their faces? I'm not attracted by your glitter, for well I know how very bitter my life would be if I should take you for my spouse, a rattlesnake. Oh no, I'd not accept the ring, or evermore 'twould have a sting. A face that would stop a clock. In prison you ought to be doing some time, for to wear such a face must be surely a crime. If you amongst gorillas had chanced to be born, they would have disowned you with loathing and scorn. For a monkey, no matter how homely a brute, when placed beside you, would be ranked as a beaut.
On account of your talk of others' affairs, at most dances you sit warm in the chairs. Because of the care with which you attend to all others' business, you haven't a friend.
We've now exited the courthouse and we have travelled along to the cells, and the temperature is decidedly colder. The stark stone granite walls. What are we going to find out next? If people want to find out more information about this event that's going on, where would they find it? Do you have any website or any socials?
Yes, everything's all up on our website and our socials, or they can just give us a call. We'll be very happy to chat through all the tours that are running for February.
Well, thank you so much indeed for inviting me. It's been absolutely eye-opening. I'm certainly going to come back again very, very soon.
So glad you could join us.
May the Lord have mercy on your souls. Take them away.
NEWSWAVE.
My thanks to Janice Rose and, of course, to Jess Moulton, General Manager at Bodmin Jail. For more information and to book tickets, visit bodminjail.org. Now, Cornish Pasty Week 2025 is shaping up to be bigger than ever, with the much anticipated return of, wait for it, Mr. and Mrs. Pasty. The iconic duo are making their way around Cornwall from February 24th until March the 2nd, delighting fans after several years away with a fresh new look as well. But that's not all. This year's celebration also introduces an all-new competition to crown the world's fastest amateur pasty crimper. Joining Cheryl Gordon on the Chaos Radio Breakfast Show to provide the inside scoop on all things Cornish Pasty Week was Grace Lobb from the Cornish Pasty Association.
NEWSWAVE.
Just over 20 years ago, a lot of Cornish pasty makers got together and decided that it was time to protect the pasty. There were some not so great versions being made not in Cornwall, and it was, time to do something about that. So a group of makers got together to set up an application to do a PGI to get protected status for Cornish pasties. So ever since then, that application has sort of snowballed really from getting the protected status, and now it's all about promoting the provenance and explaining to people why the Cornish pasty is so special and celebrating that fact.
What can we expect from this year? Any inside information?
So, I can't believe it's been going that long. It used to run in conjunction with Eden. They used to run the World Pasty Championships. So that was a big part of it. And Cornish Pasty became the lead up to that. So unfortunately, we haven't got the World Pasty Championships anymore. But what we're trying to do with Cornish Pasty Week is recapture some of that feeling that they got. And it's all going to culminate on the 1st of March with the World Pasty Crimping Championships to be held at the Great Cornish Food Store in Truro. So we're inviting amateur bakers to come in and to pit their crimping skills against each other to see who's the fastest crimper in the West. So that's going to be how this year shapes up. Mr. and Mrs. Pasty have been a fixture of Pasty Week for many years now. They've gone in for a bit of a bake-over and have come out looking refreshed this year, looking very smart and tidy. And they're going to be going on a tour of Cornwall all week during Cornish Pasty Week, stopping in at some schools and some great locations that people could maybe visit, if they were coming to Cornwall to stay out of season. So if you follow us on social media, you'll find out where they're popping up. But you can actually meet them in store at the Crimping Championships at the end of Cornish Pasty Week as well. So if you want to come in and get your picture taken with Mr. and Mrs. Pasty, do some pasty crimping, pasty tasting, that's the best opportunity to come and see them.
I really feel like we should, they should come and visit us here at Chaos Radio. That would be, come in for breakfast. We'll have some pasties, eh? How about that?
Oh, yeah. No, we'll have to look into that for sure.
That sounds really exciting. I just like the over idea how they've had like a bakeover. It sounds really cool. Tell me, Grace, are you into crimping pasties?
Yes, I am. Through the years, I've worked on a number of Cornish Pasty Weeks and World Pasty Championships, and there have been professional crimping contests in the past, which I've been involved with. So I have picked up a bit of technique from the professionals, but it's a slightly different way to maybe how you do it at home, how you see your mum bake them, your granny, your uncle. Everyone's got their own sort of special way, but to be a proper Cornish pasty, they have to be crimped on the side. So there are a few rules. We've got a sort of a booking system, which you can find through the Cornish Pasty Association website. You can go in, find out the rules and book a place. So, yeah.
I've got to admit, I wouldn't say I'm the best at doing crimping, but I feel it's an art, isn't it, in itself?
Oh, very much so. When you see some of the professional crimpers crimp, they can do it so quickly, so neatly, so beautifully. And when you see someone learning to make a pasty for the first time, they've got their pastry and the raw ingredients there to actually get the knack of it. It is a real skill. Yeah, for sure.
Grace, a key focus of the week is obviously raising money for the Cornish Pasty Community Fund. What particular projects are you supporting, and what impact has had that across Cornwall?
Sure. So during Cornish Pasty Week, lots of members of the Cornish Pasty Association, so high street bakers that you'll see, will be donating a penny for every pasty sold, and that goes into the community fund. That in turn, local schools can apply into for funds. So the idea is that the schools can use the monies to buy equipment, resources, possibly even pay for some extra teaching time to get kids thinking about food, learning about food, growing food, cooking food. So we've had applications for ovens, for gardening equipment, a whole range of really creative things that people are doing in school. So this allows schools, some of them to hold breakfast clubs before school, some to do after school clubs that feature cooking, to make their current sort of curriculum, some of their lessons more exciting, and be able to explore more around all of food, not just pasties, but being able to sort of grow local food, handle real ingredients. So it's had a really big impact, and across the county from Scilly all the way up to the Tamar. So during Pasty Week, we're going to visit a couple of these schools and have a look and see, exactly what they've been doing. And then we can tell you more about it when we've been out to see them and share it with everyone and get, there'll be loads of pictures of what these kids have been up to.
So for any listeners who want to get involved, whether it's taking part in events or supporting the community fund, what opportunities are available?
So during Cornish Pasty Week, go out and buy a pasty and enjoy it. And we've got a list of retailers on our website where all the information is, but you can find the ones that are supporting the community fund. You can enter our crimping competition. So that takes place on the 1st of March, as I said, at the Great Cornish Food Store in Truro. Again, go to the Cornish Pasty Association website. You can enter. We've got some fantastic prizes that will not be available anywhere else. So it's well worth entering. We've got an adults and a children's category, and we've even got an entrant coming from Japan, which is very exciting. We couldn't quite believe it when we first got the entry, but we've spoken to her and she's coming all the way from Japan. So we hope there's some good local competition as well to make that a really exciting day.
I find that very exciting that someone's coming from Japan. There's definitely a story there to be taken out of that one, isn't it? Finally, where can our listeners go and find out more information about Cornish Pasty Week and the Cornish Pasty Association?
So our website is cornishpastyassociation.co.uk, and that's got all the entry details on. And also for the 1st of March, we're going to have a great day here. You come get your face painted. There's shanty singing going on, loads of fun stuff for the family as well. So all the info's there.
NEWSWAVE.
Oh, thank you to Grace Lobb from the Cornish Pasty Association for joining us here on Chaos Radio. To learn more about Cornish Pasty Week, visit cornishpastyassociation.co.uk. Now for something completely different, let's hear from Tom Mason, co-founder of Blue Balls Cornwall, as he sits down with Ross Lannon to discuss the benefits of cold water swimming, brotherhoods, and the importance of men's mental health.
NEWSWAVE.
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder of Blue Balls, which we set up just under 4 years ago. Essentially it's a cold water swimming group for gentlemen. So when I started cold water swimming, we quickly discovered that it wasn't really it was a space for loads of women, which was great, but there wasn't many men doing it. So I find that a huge benefit to my mental health and well-being, and I really wanted to encourage other guys into that to find the same benefits. So it grew from there, really.
It's great. It really is. And you say it grew from there, but you're coming up to your 4th birthday, the big 4 anniversary this year, which is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's flown by.
Yeah.
It's gone quick.
Yeah, well, this was originated by you being a co-founder as well, along with a lot of people know the Man Down group in Cornwall as well. You and I guess your friend, you created this baby together and just have seen it grow.
Yeah, so I started cold water swimming, and as you do, plastered it all over social media, and Ross saw it on his Instagram and messaged me saying, do you want to go for a swim? So we went for a swim together, and this was like February time, so it was cold. It was like it is now, as cold as it's going to get, and very quickly Ross was all in on it, wanted to make it bigger than it is, and obviously there's so many synergies with what Man Down do, so it's a huge benefit to your mental health and well-being. We encourage guys to get together into the water to talk about the stresses of going on in their lives and the benefits that cold water can give, and being in the environment and the community as well, which is found the real game changer for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And big question here for you. Why has it got to be so cold? Because I am a heat kind of guy. I have my shower on somewhat burning temperatures. I love the heat. I carry a hot water bottle with me 99% of the time. So cold water swimming, one question, are you mad?
Probably, but we all are, aren't we? I think the cold, it is a challenge, but that's the half of the buzz of overcoming that challenge and that initial resistance of getting out of your comfort zone and getting into the cold water, and then that buzz that lasts throughout the rest of the day after you've overcome that initial resistance. It makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, and it must be, because that's not just hearsay, because the amount of people I've heard that say like how great they feel afterwards, that's a common statement that's made, so it must be true.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that I'm not a scientist and don't know the ins and outs of it all, but it is known to reduce depression and anxiety. The dopamine that was released from being in the cold water is obviously the science that sticks with it and gives you that buzz throughout the day. Just got to wrap up warm straight after you get out, because otherwise you'll get that cold water drop, and then it's not much fun initially.
Yeah, I bet.
But
really got to look after yourself. And
yeah.
Do it properly as well, isn't it? Not being aware of the effects of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think tell people where you're going, prepare yourself. Don't stay in any longer than you need to do. I think sometimes it can be seen as like a masculine thing where you stay in for as long as you can, but that we discourage that. It's not a competition. everyone's limits are different. So I think the benefits you'll get from 6 or 7 minutes are very similar to the benefits you'll get from 2 minutes.
Right.
So yeah, we try and encourage everyone to leave the ego at home and just enjoy it.
Love it. It really sounds great. And before we kind of get into talking about all the different benefits of it and the health wise, I want to talk about the name, okay? Just humour me for a second here. Of course, we're on radio, so let's keep this as PG as possible. But Blue Balls Cornwall, great name. I see you're repping the merch today on the hoodie. Great to see it. I mean, it's the most stupid question I think I've ever asked, but like, talk to me about the name, Tom. I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Well, Ross and I came up with a few, and they are definitely not safe for the radio. But there is a female swimming group called the Blue Tits.
Yes.
So really it is a little nod to them, but obviously the male version of that. I have to be honest, there's another terminology for blue balls and I wasn't aware of it. So when we decided to call the group the Net, it was not even on my radar. But yeah, it makes me laugh.
Hey, if it does one thing, it gets you noticed, it gets people talking, and yeah, I think branding wise, you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously, a lot of the guys wear the bright blue trunks.
Yeah.
And we don't make everyone do that. It's their choice. If people want to come in a wetsuit, they can, whatever they feel comfortable with. But really, we wanted to initially to wear something that made us stand out on the beach and make people take notice and ask questions about what we're doing, just to raise the awareness.
Yeah.
And I think that's worked quite well.
Yeah, I suppose it's nice to have, when you are such a group, and we're going to talk more about the community aspect of the group as well, it's almost nice to have that uniform essentially as well, because even today when I mentioned on the show that you guys were coming in, that you were coming into the show today, I did say to our listeners, I didn't specify a dress code, so there was a chance you could have turned up in your Speedos. Who knew?
Yeah, I could have done. I didn't. You'd be pleased to know.
We can confirm. But yeah, no, it's really nice to have that kind of that branding tie-in with everything, and it is a real kind of community feel that obviously I've seen from your pages, let alone how it is in person with you guys.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, it's the community and the connection to other men is the game changer for us. It was never initially about that, but it is a place where men can get together and use cold water and the ocean as a positive coping mechanism for the stresses that life can throw at us all.
Yeah.
And it's other than environment, it is a good environment to be involved with. You've got pubs, you've got sporting environments which can sometimes have that sort of toxic masculinity involved, but this isn't, and that connection and community with one another and be able to feel comfortable talking to each other has been a real positive for me, and I know a lot of the other guys also.
Yeah, and when it comes to men talking about emotion and feeling, even though things may have somewhat improved over the years, there's still very much a stigma around men opening up, like you mentioned, kind of the toxic masculinity there. And this almost feels like the perfect way to keep busy, do an activity. It's not in a clinical environment where you're sat having to speak to someone. I assume it's a more natural environment, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we no one comes for therapy, but I guess it does act as a type of therapy, because you just share your stories with each other. We generally have a coffee after a swim, and people just talk about what's going on. And sometimes I think you might come with the weight of the world on your shoulders and feel like you're the only person going through whatever you're going through. And actually, if you talk about it, you quickly discover that there's other people going, and you're not the only one. And it's very similar to the man down model. That's not a counselling service. It's just an environment where men can get together, talk in a safe, non-judgmental environment, and it slowly is reducing the shame and stigma around men talking, because unfortunately it is still there. We're working really hard on reducing it, but it's the more we can do to do that is great.
Yeah, and you guys describe it, which I love. I've seen on your pages online. You describe it as a brotherhood, don't you?
Yeah.
Which I think is lovely.
I think it is. I think there's all different walks of life that come to the Blue Balls swims, from 60-year-old, 70-year-old men to 18-year-old lads, all different jobs, all different circumstances. And it's just a group of people that you wouldn't really ever put together in anything else other than that. You wouldn't cross. You might work with people, but some of my best friends now are people I've met through cold water, and it's been a really nice journey, and it's ever evolving.
Generally, cold water swimming does make people healthier, happier, both physically and mentally as well. So do you want to kind of talk us through what you've learned throughout the years?
Yeah, so I think there's obviously your mental health is part of your overall health and well-being, and like I touched on, I think the cold water, because of the dopamine that it produces when you're swimming and after you're swimming, it can reduce your stress and anxiety and depression. Physically, it's very good for improving your circulation, reducing inflammation. So I use the cold as a recovery tool for training. So if you're in the gym or you're doing jiu-jitsu or what have you, it's great for getting in the cold, and it gives those old bones and what muscle I've got a little bit of a recovery. So yeah, it also helps you sleep, which is like the ultimate recovery tool. So yeah, there's lots of things within that. It's good for your immune system. There's so many different things, and they're all very well documented.
I assume your books are open. You're encouraging as many people that want to come and join you.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no membership. There's nothing like that. We've got a big following on social media. But yeah, anyone can come along and give it a go. Often people will come and just have a coffee first and see what it's all about, because of course there is an anxiety about meeting new people and a new group. It can be overwhelming, but we're a friendly bunch, and I'd encourage anyone to sort of come and have a chat if they've got any questions or any concerns about getting in the cold or how long to stay in the water for, or we've all been there. We've all been in that position at least once, so hopefully we'll make everybody feel comfortable and at ease.
Absolutely. And if anyone's listening today thinking, you know what, I fancy giving that a go, I fancy finding out more information about when you guys meet, the location and the times, what's the best way that people can get that information and contact you? Yeah, so it's probably Instagram really is where we're most active, which is just at Blue Balls Cornwall. We've got a Facebook page as well, which is the same. And that's it really. We're working on a website, but to be honest, the website, we're not about that. We've never wanted to monetize the group. We've never wanted to sell out to commercial entities and what have you. It's all, everything we've done has been organically grown, and we want to remain sort of true to ourselves. And the few companies that we do work with are very much believers in our values and what have you. So we collaborate with them more than that type of partnership, which is important. Yeah, and I've seen that on your website because I've seen your online store as well, and I know you've done bits with charity as well, which is fantastic. And even the merchandise and some of the products that you do advertise, it's very much made from sustainable materials and renewable energy powered. So that is obviously one of your passion and values as well. Yeah, that was important to us to make sure that was a focus on that. The person that designed our logo was someone who was based in Cornwall, and all any money that we do make on any of the merchandise that gets sold goes back into sauna days or taking the guys out at places, and nice. If we have we come up to our 4th anniversary, so we'll go out for dinner somewhere. We'll pay for that, so it all goes back into the community.
NEWSWAVE.
A big thank you to Tom Mason for that. If you'd like to find out more about Blue Balls Cornwall and their community swims, be sure to check them out online, blueballscornwall.co.uk. Now, the Sensory Trust's Creative Spaces project is celebrating 10 years of the Happy Wanderers, an inclusive dementia walking and nature group. Over the past decade, they've completed more than 500 walks, providing a vital space for people living with dementia, their families and their carers. To tell us more about the initiative, its impact, and how you can get involved, we were joined in the studio by Claire Fox, Creative Spaces Project Manager, along with participants Val and Pat.
NEWSWAVE.
So Sensory Trust, we're a charity, and our office is located in St Austell. We've been going for about 30 years, and we're a national charity, so we run funded projects and we deliver consultancy and training, and we take a grassroots approach through community projects. So we do project design, we do consultancy training, and we publish free guidance and resources. So But our mission at our heart is to enhance the health and well-being of people and make meaningful connections with nature. So we believe that everyone should have equal access to the outdoors, as well as emotional and intellectual access to nature experiences, and inclusion and accessibility are at the heart of all of our work. So Creative Spaces is our inclusive dementia walking group, and the Happy Wanderers started over 10 years ago, and it all started on a wet and wild day on Goss Moor, and we had one gentleman join us, just one person with dementia join us. This person had been newly diagnosed. He was struggling with that diagnosis, and we decided to go for a walk, and then the project was born, really. So it all started with the Happy Wanderers, and it continued, and more people joined the group, and it sort of expanded, and it was recognised that while you were walking in nature, you could actually talk about what was happening in their lives, because it's a space for people living with dementia and their carers and families, and it felt that it was really important, just putting one step in front of another with like-minded souls walking in nature. It just helped, so it expanded, and over the years now we've got 9 walking groups all over Cornwall.
Obviously, you're celebrating 10 years of the group. What does that milestone represent to you and the people taking part, even?
Well, I suppose over to Val here. So Val's been part of the group since 2016?
Yes, yeah. So we were looking back at, what we'd done over the 10 years, and there were lots of things. One thing was thinking about the people that aren't with us, but also how much fun we'd had over the years, and the different projects we've been involved with. Craft projects and places we have been. My husband liked to walk with the men because he missed male company, so he always gravitated towards the men on the walking group, and it meant that I could talk to other people. He was very interested in local history, so he didn't contribute, but he listened to what they were saying because we were new to the area. And it was a lifeline for me, because when you're with someone with dementia, it's not something that many people have got experience of, and you're at sea, really. So I met people, I talked to people, they gave us advice, we exchanged information, and it got us out. And just, if George didn't want to go, I'd phrase it that I needed to go, and he'd come. And we've had some lovely times, learning about the people we've met, learning about their lives, and a hug, appreciate a hug, and coffee and biscuits.
Particularly with dementia, you need to have that routine and know what each day may be planned, and that makes a difference, doesn't it, to your sort of social well-being, your emotional well-being, and it's that sort of whole approach about supporting each other. And this is just like an incredible thing. And obviously, like, the project's focusing on connecting people with nature, and this is so important, obviously, for people's mental and physical well-being. How have you seen this sort of evolve and make a difference, Claire?
It's quite a dramatic. It's a really dramatic thing that happens. You can be on a walk, or you're waiting at the meeting point, and people turn up. And some people living with dementia may have had a really tricky night, a really tricky morning. They're not terribly happy to be there, potentially. They're very confused, they're very muddled, they don't remember why they're part of this group. And we then begin to walk, and we begin to notice nature. So we're really focusing on maybe the leaves of a tree, or noticing signs of spring, or listening to the bird song. And slowly but surely, with every step that you take, you can see that person beginning to relax, because they're really focusing on the now being nature. And connecting with nature is so powerful and so good to us. I mean, there's lots of scientific studies, but at the end of the day, being in nature and walking in nature helps all your aspects of well-being. It's well documented, and I think with a shift in demographics and the ageing population, it's more and more important to be looking after yourself and what it means to be healthy and happy. And a lot of our members would have walked a lot, living in Cornwall or going in the countryside, and they want to continue with that. And it's something that they used to do and used to enjoy together, and now they can again. I think when you get a diagnosis and dementia progresses, your world becomes really small. You might lose your driving licence. You don't get out and about as much as you could do, and that access to the outdoors is so important to people, and we just provide the way of doing that. So one of the elements of the project, which is really important to us, is we try and reduce all the barriers so we can provide transport. We've got a small budget to provide transport so we can actually pick people up and get them on the walks and take them home again. So the walks are an amble, not a ramble. We always stop in and take the view. We always pause and have a cuppa and a chat. And yeah, it's a safe space, and it's a lovely place to be because you see the seasonal change, you connect with nature, and everyone feels better after it. I certainly do, going on the walks.
If, say, people listening today across St Austell and further afield feel that maybe they might want to volunteer to support you, how would that work, Claire?
Oh gosh, we'd love to have some volunteers. We're actually looking for volunteers for the Happy Wanderers. So if you've got a couple of hours spare a week, or even every other week, and you enjoy walking in nature, you enjoy talking to people, then do give us get in contact with us. You can go on our website and look at our Take Action tab, which links to the volunteers page, and all the information's on there. We provide expenses, travel expenses. We provide training in dementia awareness, manual handling, safeguarding, outdoor first aid, and we support you along the way. But yeah, a lot of our volunteers get so much out of being a volunteer. I think I've got a quote here from Marilyn. She says that for the little that I give, what I get back is 100-fold. And it's lovely. Just, Marilyn's been volunteering for us for probably 6 years now, and you become like a little family, don't you? Yeah, but yes, please get in touch. Our phone number is 01726 222 900. Leave a message and we'll get back to you. And if you're interested, just come and join a walk and try it out and see if you like it, and then we'll take it from there.
I could absolutely talk to you ladies all day, but we haven't got the time. But Val, just want to ask you a question. What has been one of the most inspiring things for you at being part of this wonderful group?
Well, George and I were always summertime walkers, so it was always a nice sunny day, and it was about climbing a hill and looking at the vista. But with walking with this group, we're walking slowly, quietly, sometimes we're chattering, and it's made me we go out every week of the year, so you see the different seasons, and it may be misty, damp, and that's something I hadn't really experienced before, because it was always a sunny day when I chose to go for a walk, and so it's got me going out, going out to different times of the year has been good.
Oh, lovely. Claire, Val, it's been our absolute pleasure welcoming you both to Chaos this morning. I think you're doing some amazing work, and our senior journalist, Tom Howe, is here with us in the studio this morning. In a moment, we'll look out for more Happy Wanderers up and coming here at Chaos. Until then, though, you can you just remind the listeners where they can go for more information about creative spaces, projects, up and coming walks, Claire?
Yep, so you can go to our website, which is www.sensorytrust.org.uk. That's sensorytrust.org.uk. Or you can give us a telephone call on 01726 222 900, or you can email us on Creative Spaces, that's all one word, at sensorytrust.org.uk. There's lots of information on our website, on the projects page, about our inclusive dementia project, and we've got a What's On page which lists all of the walks all over Cornwall, which run from Newlyn all the way to Bude.
NEWSWAVE.
A huge thank you to Claire, to Pat and to Val from Sensory Trust's Creative Spaces project for joining us today. If you'd like to find out more about the Happy Wanderers and their other services, visit sensorytrust.org.uk. Now, last but certainly not least, here's a snippet of my discussion with Will Jackson, founder and CEO of Engineered Arts, about the exciting projects they are bringing to Cornwall, including the world's most advanced humanoid robot, Amica.
NEWSWAVE.
So my name's Will Jackson. I am the CEO and founder of Engineered Arts Limited. We're a robotics company based in Cornwall in the UK. And we're here at a local college, Truro College, and we're showing off our technology, part of which is Amica, a humanoid robot that's designed for interaction with people.
Fantastic. Let's talk about Amica in a second. She's the star of the show today. She's got a brilliant crowd in front of her. But first of all, can you just tell me a little bit more, for people that aren't aware, about Engineered Arts and the work that you do?
Okay, yeah. So I founded the company back in 2004, so we're over 20 years old now. We've always focused on technology and art, and it's, clues in the name. It's about combining the two. In our early days, we did not just robots, we did a wider range of kind of science education. We worked a lot with Science Museum in London, Glasgow Science Centre, places like that. Now we focus solely on humanoid robots, and we currently employ around 60 people across 3 locations. So our HQ is still in Cornwall. We have offices in London and we have offices in Silicon Valley in California.
Wow. And it's wonderful, a great opportunity for Cornwall to have you here as well. Are you from Cornwall originally? How did the business end up here in Cornwall?
So I was born on Penwares Terrace in Falmouth. So my dad was from Penryn, my mum was from Falmouth, so Cornish through and through. How did the business get started? So my early career, I went to Falmouth Art School, as it was then, now Falmouth University, and I studied art and design. I then moved into a career in special effects, and I worked in film and television in America, in New York, and then in Australia for 7 years. Then came back, lived in London for a while, and of course missed Cornwall and had to come back, and I founded Engineered Arts, as I said, back in 2004. It's interesting, we now work with some of the biggest tech companies in the world, and they will fly from wherever and come to Cornwall to visit us, and they always say, "Why are you here?" And I say, "Because I was born here, this is my home." So rather than me move to Silicon Valley, let's move Silicon Valley to Cornwall.
Ah, fantastic. I love that. Let's take no further limelight away from Amica. What can you tell me about who Amica is and what she's up to here today?
Yeah, so Amica is a humanoid robot, and it's primarily designed for interaction. So it's all about talking to people, entertaining people, conversation, making jokes, having fun. So we don't make robots to replace people. We make robots for people to work with. We're now looking at kind of other applications that we can do, sort of maybe, helping out point of sale, companionship. It's always about people and how they feel about technology. So if you think about virtual reality, you put on a headset and you go off into the virtual world. This is like the opposite of that. It's like we give the technology a body and it comes into our world. So rather than looking at our tech through a screen or a headset, put it into a human-like shape and bring it here. That's our mission.
Amazing. And she's got a real deep personality and an answer for every question. And she really looks in your eyes as if she knows something about you, doesn't she?
Yeah, so there are cameras in the eyes, and it's, of course, looking for faces around. And we do some simple tricks, like, say, which is the most interesting face. It's just the one that's biggest in the picture, because that must be closest, you know. So you'll notice when you get close to Amaka, it will make eye contact. And then it can also recognise the kind of expressions you're making and recognise what you're saying. And that works not just in English, but in Chinese, Japanese, French, German, pretty much about 50 languages. And it can automatically reply in the appropriate language as well. So we make a lot of use of large language models. So most people will have probably played with or heard of ChatGPT. So this is a very similar technology to that.
And it's so nice to have her back here in Cornwall, because she's been around the world, hasn't she?
Yeah, we have a lot of robots around the world. So I think last time I counted, it was more than 27 countries have our robots now. So built in Cornwall, shipped to the world.
And what opportunities are available today for people to interact with her, engage with her, meet her, have their pictures taken? She's a bit of a celebrity, isn't she?
Yeah, it's this is kind of meet and greet session, so people can come and ask a robot questions, or just pose for a selfie, which is what a lot of people want to do, actually. And we find that people, when they first see something like this, they might be a little bit afraid or it's a bit unfamiliar, but they very quickly realise that it's not a threat, it's not dangerous, it's and it's actually quite a lot of fun. So really it's about just presenting that technology to people and letting them find out about it.
Can we just finish with any other exciting projects you've got going on at the moment that you'd love to share with people?
So Engineered Arts just finished a funding round, so we now have some money to continue the business expansion over the next 3 to 4 years. That was 10 million raised. So what are we doing with that? We're expanding our team a lot, so there's a lot of hiring going on, a lot in Cornwall. And so there are opportunities for not just engineers but also creatives. A lot of what we do is on the creative side. What specifically are we working on? There is going to be a walking version of Amaka. So at the minute you'll see this one doesn't move around in the space. But we have done a lot of work on walking robots over the last 6-7 years. And that will be coming. And we're also working on a new set of hands for Amaka that are much more capable of picking up objects, playing board games, doing that kind of thing. Again, it's always about interaction. It's about having fun with robots.
Fantastic. And where can people find out more information if they've been inspired to do so?
Yeah, you always look on our website. So that's engineeredarts.com or engineeredarts.co.uk. That will give you all the kind of latest, or you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see some posts there too.
Wonderful.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NEWSWAVE. A big Chaos Radio thank you to Jess Moulton at Bodmin Jail, Grace Lobb of the Cornish Pasty Association, Tom Mason of Blue Balls Cornwall, Claire Fox, Val and Pat from Sensory Trust's Creative Spaces projects, and to Will Jackson from Engineered Arts. And as ever, a final thank you to you for listening and helping support local journalism to thrive. To catch up on all our coverage, as well as to check out our extensive and growing back catalogue of interviews and shows, do head on over to chaos.radio. And remember, if you have a local news story that you'd like to share with us, email news@chaos.radio or search Chaos Radio UK across socials. That's it, you're up to date here on Chaos. I'm Tom Howe. Thank you so much for listening.
NEWSWAVE.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.